Hello and good afternoon to you, cherished viewers. You are welcome back to Poll Watch. We've been live since this whole week, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we've been going live since the beginning of the week and discussing the issues surrounding elections. And yesterday, most of us went out to cast our ballots. And of course, we are getting some semblances of the results. And I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with our political analyst here in Clog TV in the person of Mr. Randolph Ifrifa Owari. Hello, Randolph. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I hope you are well.
Don't be diabolic.
Oh, I hope you are well. How are you doing? You're very fine. I'm glad to hear that. So, yes, did you go out to vote yesterday?
Oh, yes, I did. I mean, it was a very good decision I made.
I'm glad to hear you also exercised your civic duty. Yeah. So it seems, even though the EC has not come out to officially declare that, you know, Party A or Party B has won, we have the presidential candidate of the MPP already conceding defeat. That was a few hours ago, and giving the presidential candidate of the NDC a congratulatory message. So what do you think about this? What are some of the impressions you've also seen around?
Okay, so first of all, I thank you and also we thank our viewers for joining us throughout the week. I mean, for this intensive coverage.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's a big plus for our democracy. I mean, as a country from where we are coming from,
yeah,
for all these years after independence, I mean, we struggled so much to be able to gain the independence, and then from there we had a chance to rule ourselves, and then from there to we have had a lot of challenges in terms of from military government and all that, coup d'etat and all that, and we've got into a stage where we now understand and have accepted that the self-governance comes with democracy, which is the rule of law, and then an opportunity for us to express our opinions and our views through ballot, using our thumb as a voice. Yes. So, in fact, it's a wonderful experience. Yesterday, I went out, as I said yesterday, I actually went out and I went to vote. And when I went, all the places that I went, in fact, it was very impressive.
Wait, you went? Did you go to different places to
yes,
vote?
Yes, no.
Or you visited?
I mean, we actually visited
because right now tensions are pretty high. So
I mean, I reported.
Yeah.
With,
okay.
My colleagues,
yes,
so
that's true.
We actually went to a number of. We went to Ododo constituency, and then Ablikuma North constituency, and then we went to Ablikuma West constituency, and I think a couple of them.
Okay.
And in fact, the experience there was, I mean, especially with Ododo, for the first time, the place was very calm.
Yeah.
And the people were so, I mean, they comported themselves throughout the places we went, which tells that people are now understanding that it's not about, I mean, picking cutlass and guns and all that. It's about expressing your views, but with your tongue, and then that is actually a civil right we all have to. It's unfortunate that some places we experience, as a country, we experience some few hitches there. I understand it's part of the human nature, but then I pray that in the next election, these things will be minimized, or I mean, will be eradicated, so that at least people understand that this is democracy. You have the right, I mean, just one vote. Go and express it, go home, and then when it's time for you to actually get your ballot counted, you go there, I mean, witness it, and you leave the rest with EC. But then, I mean, it just happened that way. So, so far, so good as a country. It's been a wonderful experience. But then, on the aspect of the vice president conceding that you mentioned, you made mention earlier. In fact, we actually watched the press conference here, and I mean, this is something that is commendable, because in Africa, most part of Africa, we don't have that experience. Was a lot of issues do happen. Sometimes they would drag for almost one week without hearing, and it creates a lot of unnecessary tensions. But then I think digitalization has also helped us as a people where both parties, or almost all parties, have created strong rooms where they're able to collate their results. As you have already worked on, and it's reliable. You just go ahead, concede, and bring the tension down. And you can see, after his concession, the vice president concession to the president-elect, President Mahama, you could see that there's very calmness in the system.
Well, the calmness is quite debatable, because in some constituencies where, you know, the final outcome has still not been announced, I think we had, which of the constituencies do we have that was also set on fire because of the agitation?
I heard that Damango or
yes,
something.
I think yes. And then even
unfortunate situation.
And even I think the Dome Kobinya too, there's some tensions arising there too. I think this year we've had, it's quite less, even though there have still been casualties here and there and some injuries. We still have a long way to go. I mean, it is commendable that Ododo Diodio was able to
very peaceful,
have their.
I was surprised when I got there. I was surprised myself, and it was so normal with the police having chit chats and all that. And I mean, even the agents. I mean, we got to a place where agents were, chatting. And I mean, I like that. I mean, that state we
that is great. So, viewers, a quick reminder: we're coming to you live, and we're live on Facebook and on YouTube. So don't forget to join in the conversation. You can share how you're feeling about the provisional results of yesterday's elections with us. You can tell us how via the live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. Share with us your experience, your feelings, your sentiments, and even your hopes for what seems to be the new government coming up from the NDC. So NDC seemingly has won the elections, at least according to what, you know, the assumed president-elect has a female as a vice president. And I think some people might say that that is one of the things that may have also helped or fueled the win for them. What are your takes on that?
Well, I think it's actually a good sign as a country, and you know, in a jurisdiction as in Africa, where and then education is also helping so well or so much, because to have a country like ours, where a country that some time ago women are not even
to go to school, even access education.
Yes, you have to stay home, and even when you complete school, or a senior high school or junior high school, most of the times women are asked to go and then learn a trade and all that. But if we've been able to, after 60 years of our existence as a country or democracy, we are able to elect a female vice president. It means someday
we can have a female president. Yes.
This is actually a very good, very good sign of development. And sometimes development is not about all the infrastructure, but then things that happen that affect people effectively. So the young women out there should be encouraged and be empowered by this very step taken by this country, that yes, you can also do it. You don't, if you're a woman and you take things serious, you take your life serious, you take education serious. Anything you do and you make it a priority and you put in effort, the possibility you getting to the highest level of democracy, or let me say governance or leadership, is very high. And I think, I'm sure this women empowerment issue...
it is a win for all women in the country.
Yes. And I think Africa should also look up to this, and then African countries. In Ghana, I know we always peace for some of these.
For this one, I think, was it Sierra Leone? Sierra Leone sets the pace for that. Yes. And I think even Barbados has a female for the president. So
that's a prime minister.
So like in Africa especially, the wind of change, especially for women, has seemingly started blowing, because I think we have the World Trade Organization. We have a Nigerian lady who was awarded very power, and have been able to take them off to let them know that we put you there and we can remove you. I love that phenomenon so much.
So in fact, I like it, to some extent, that we are able to make room for change. Change is, and we all know, or we all say, it's inevitable. inevitable as a country, or even in individual your life. Change is something that you cannot entirely eradicate. It's something that happens naturally. But then, in terms of what we have now, if as a country, the future will change. I mean, it is we also having some kind of
it's a change in mindset.
Of course, attitudinal change was our attitude and the way of life that we live as a people will equally impact. Or I mean, there's no president who will come and solve all our problems. But then, when we also contribute positively with our attitude, it actually impacts the we are equally expecting. It makes it come better and even faster. So our economy can be, I mean, whatever it is, and whoever has come will be able to make some change in our economy if we are all truthful and honest and place our rules or our responsibilities right. So, I mean, what I can say is that, yes, we have a new president, that is President John Dramani Mahama. But then whatever we also did as a people against the system when he was there, if we do not change those attitudes,
we'll make the work difficult.
Truth is that he will come and will not be satisfied. And another group of leadership will also come satisfied. And, I mean, we'll get to a stage where we all know that the apathy always comes. But then what is very important here is that we must make sure that the change that we are asking for and the change that we have voted for, we will also make it impactful in our lives. You get it? Yeah.
So let's just touch briefly on, some of the factors accounting for, what seems to be John Dramani Mahama's win. What do you think, over the years, in your own personal experiences being a Ghanaian, what are some of the things you think contributed to this seemingly wide gap between the MPP and NDC, which, from the look of things, this may even be the biggest gap in our history? What are some of the things you think accounts for that?
In fact, per the provisional results that we have, if we are to go by it, it means this is the biggest win in the history of the country, which is the difference is we are seeing almost per what we have seen almost 1.5 million, which is Nanado gave the 1 million over almost 1 million votes in 2016, and the biggest one actually happened when that is President Rawlings had almost 57% of the total ballot vote in some years back, and this is the next one that we have experienced. That is according to the provisional results that we have. So this is equally a very good start for the president of the newly elected president, because if you've been given overwhelmed support for this, it means you have no reason to fail the people. You have no reason to be satisfy only a group of people where you come and then you share your own things, and then you cause all kind of financial loss to the state and other stuff, and then you go. It is also incumbent on the new government to put policies that will curb corruption. The new policies that will also make sure industrialization and all the things you have mentioned in your manifestos are implemented. So these are things that are very important to our development. So as a new president, he also equally have an obligation as a new president to give us what and the reason why, to also affirm his whatever he is supposed to do with the will the people has given up to.
So, but a lot of people also say that NDC in comparison is not necessarily a option, because from what I'm also seeing, it seems that the motivation to bring NDC back into power was fueled by hate or by frustration and pain against the MPP. And with that, do you also agree to such sentiments?
In fact, to some extent, to some extent, I must admit to that, because NPP was given so much support in 2016, and the support that the Ghanaian population gave to Nana Addo was so much huge to the extent that it actually shook the foundation of Ghana.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you look at the figures, even the regional, I mean the regional ballot that they got, other regions and the wide, I mean the margin was so much encouraging. And that at that period, you could feel the wind of change at the period of the vote. I mean, even proud to, compared to even now, what has happened today, you realize that that change was so much needed by the people. And so, looking at what they were given to, and the few challenges that came up, or the, I mean, in terms of use of corruption or scandals that came, which wasn't able to be held or to be, I mean, the president wasn't able to handle it. The other aspect also has to come with, I mean, the pension galamsey issue. I mean, these were pertinent issues that I believe the president could have stood in and then, I mean, had it well solved, or at least even had a whole session with the Ghanaians to give out some
updates or something.
I mean, that was one expectation by the people, but I think it wasn't.
You know, even speaking on that, one of the things that I see on social media most that seems to be one of the key things that struck a nerve with Ghanaians is the e-levy, because we say we are a democracy. We are taking into consideration the needs of our people. And then, you know, it was put before the Ghanaian populace, do we want the e-levy? And it was a vehement no. But then our leaders went ahead to implement it and bake the cake, which a lot of people regarded as an insult. Because then if you knew that you're going to do this regardless of my sentiments and how it's going to affect me, why then would you even ask me, or why would you bother to make it look as though my opinion mattered? You know, so a lot of people, you can see the outrage about the cake. When you make a cake and a party, what message are you then sending to the people?
So to me, I believe these were some of the things that hindered the opportunity of Dr. Bawumia. Because if you remember, with the issue of e-levy, Bawumia made emphatically he disagreed with that e-levy thing. But then, I mean, the party, the system made its way in. And I mean, at that time, I think he had no say because he was a vice president. He could have said whatever it is, but he wasn't voted for. And so, I mean, but then these are things that actually affected him and his...
but if you're also saying that he was a vice president and he had no say, then are we then saying that being a vice president is basically a ceremonial role?
No, you see, if you're a vice president, you are working under your boss. And so if you are working under your boss was voted for. If you look at even the ballot papers, your boss, who is the president, is mandated to take any policy decisions. And you are there to support your president.
But so in that same vein, in that same vein, he declared free dialysis. The vice president was the one that declared free dialysis.
Things that he was able to declare means the things that he was probably asked to. I mean, he was given power and mandate to be able to take over.
So it means that if you're a vice president, until the president approves of anything, you cannot. Then that is very problematic. Then
no, and that is how I mean every system works. Just like in our setting as a clock TV, there are some decisions that I mean it goes through processes and. You have no option.
But
that is how it's actually taken.
I totally understand that. But then also, Bawumia coming into the limelight was known predominantly for the economic background that he has, being a doctor, having a doctorate degree in economics. Am I right?
He's an economist. Actually.
He's an economist, yes. Now, if the economist, the biggest economist in the country, so to speak, was saying that e-levy is not a good idea, then there is a problem with the other leaders rather disagreeing with him and then towing the line that does not favor the citizenship. So in a situation like, because I see that a lot of people keep talking about this e-levy thing, and then, you know, moving slightly away from e-levy, staying on the levy thing, a lot of our receipts when you go out to buy food and things. They are still taking COVID levy tax. There's NHI tax, and all of that. Yet NHIS, you go and there are certain things that are not covered. There are problems. All of these things I saw online, or people venting that these were all things that were coming up. So do you also think that these are also things that hindered Mahmoud Bawumia?
You see, he made his points very clear on the e-levy. Yes, he made it clear on e-levy because he made us known that he wasn't in favor of the e-levy. I mean, that was very, he stated it in many ways. But then, as I said, when the system says we are going this way, or cabinet says this, irrespective of your opinion or your, it's not, it goes with it. And these are some of the things that actually impeded his opportunity to serve the country. The other aspect also, you can see that because some of the policies that are being implemented currently under the president, the current president, he said in most of his statements and manifesto that when he is given the chance, now he has no power to take certain decisions. But then when he's given another chance to come, the party, which the NPP party and President Kufuor should have looked at in order to favor the which they didn't do that, and it has hurt them.
So if him being a vice president, the party and its system did not allow him or agree with him with certain policies he had in mind or ideas, when he becomes a president, or if he became a president, what is the guarantee that the party would not still oppose these same ideas?
When the party is just a vehicle. So when the vehicle comes with you, the governance structure recognizes the president, not the party. Do you get it? The governance structure recognizes the individual as the president, and not, that is why people could contest as an independent candidate. But then when you are, the people actually use the party structure because it becomes a bigger and easier way to be in the presidency. So when you become the president, you have the mandate by the country, and you are sworn in by the country to be able to manage the country. So in that manner, you are the final say in leadership. That is why you are mandated to choose your leadership in terms of the ministers, deputy ministers, and you are given a whole to fill in so many. That is why we say he is the commander in general of the Ghana Armed Forces. So you are the final say. So in that case, he becomes and that is a governance structure.
That
Whoever
could
comes
cause some autocracy if we don't take care.
Our constitution has given so much power to the president, and this is one of the reasons
why we are actually suffering.
Because if there was so much power sharing in terms of the hierarchy and even some major decisions, you get it. Even the office of First Lady is not recognized in the constitution. You get it. First Lady office is not recognized in the constitution, and these are all things that define ways to be able to do it, so that at least their governance will be able to be impactful. But then in certain decisions, only the president who says who makes the final decision. So they have made certain decisions that has impeded Dr. Bawumia, and we are going to suffer for the next 4 years for it.
So quickly, let's talk about one thing that was also on my heart. Then we move to the MPs who have also won, the newly elected MPs, and then the ones that have also retained their seats. So the issue that was on my heart that was, for me personally, struck a nerve was the fact that protesters were unlawfully arrested and detained. And at the time, we had a human rights president, and we didn't get any kind of address to. And you see, we had a lot of unions and associations also threatening to strike. Others were already striking just for the state to be, the declaration of a state of emergency. And at the end of it, we had our president granting an interview to a foreign body rather than addressing us. And some people might say that maybe some structural problems, but then if he could grant an interview to a foreign body, what then prevented him from also, addressing us as a people, try to calm us down, tell us something, and then nothing like that happened?
Yes, so that is also a leadership decision. I mean, some of these things, it's not easy because if you are, I mean, the president, sometimes your advisors also matters, of which I mean, there were a lot of agitations, a lot of things were said, which I believe that the president had authority to, I mean, consider the people's thoughts on whatever the people were saying. Some of these things, sometimes many leaders are able to be successful based on the people around him. Yeah. They have actually, this government have taken so many decisions that were very good, and some too, I mean, which were a challenge that, as I'm speaking to you, I mean, they are actually going to face that consequence. So sometimes I believe if you're a leader and the people who give you the power to rule them are making some cases of some hardship or some cases of issues that can be looked at. Sometimes, just as some taxes were scrapped during the Muhammad's, I mean, those taxes were given to the Ghanaians to pay, and you made them, I mean, you scrapped them off when you came. There were ways that these things could have been solved, especially the Galamsey issue, and even the issue of making the finance minister resign. These were also issues which were very prominent about 2 years ago. People were saying that, okay, you promised that, okay, after we have signed I mean, for the money at the World Bank, so I mean, after the IMF, whatever, the finance minister let him go. You finished, and then almost 1 year he was still there. Yeah, which I mean brought together ministers in terms of ministers under your government, and even parliamentarians. For the first time in the history of Ghana, parliamentarians within the governing party came together to fight you on that decision, and still you kept that decision active. Which means you were, I mean, you lost. So I mean, one of the MPs have actually come out to say, in fact, that was when the party lost power, because there was another way that could have been
you know, even with addressing the states, considering during the COVID era, we were seeing more of our presidents very often, and yet nothing was happening in the Galamsey issue. Because I think the COVID era, was it daily or every few days, we had an address from our president trying to calm us down, measures being put in place for any casualties or injuries, or even some of the people that were infected. And yet, no word from him about these issues. I think it was also one of the problems that the MPP faced, and I'm sure going back to the drawing board, they are learning from all of this. Now, let's come to our MPs who have won and retained their seats, and then some of the ones who also lost their seats. So let's have some of their images here. So we have the MP for Ablekuma South, Alfred Oko van der Poy. Yeah. Yes, so I think I remember the name. He was the mayor. Yes. Oh, okay. So it seems he also won his seat, and he retained the seat, it looks like.
Yes, he retained it.
So okay. Now we have the Ladade Kotopon, so Ritana Odole Soa also won this seat. For NDC. Yes, for the NDC. Now we have Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rawlings also retaining her seat. She also won, and I think it was a close one between her and her opponents. Now we have the Bon Kaktaman, so Joseph Akwete Tete. He also won for the NDC. I think so far we're seeing a lot of only NDC winners. What's happening?
Yes, so this Honorable Reverend Kwekuado.
Yes, he also won
West constituency, and this man actually won the seats for NDC in the Ablekuma West constituency. That is Honorable Eslowuso's seat. I mean, that was his second time of contest. Last 4 years he contested, and in fact there were some few challenges in terms of he couldn't make it, but then he actually closed the gap for almost 5,000 votes. Wow! And for him to have taken over, it's a very good.
You know, with Eslowuso, I think somebody said that watching her say that I come before you Ghanaians humbly it was actually very surprising, because apparently knowing her, she's not likely to say something like that. And I said, then if that's the case, then it is very indicative of something that she probably knew that she was going to lose her seat. So how many others do we have? Let's have them displayed.
And,
okay. So do we have winners for the NPP as well that we can display? Okay. So John Dumelo is leading in the Yawaso West Wagon. Yeah. I remember on Coco Digest we were talking about how Lydia Hassan was sharing food, or alleged at the time to be sharing food, and you were defending that from the video what shows she was the one sharing the food. And I think even later on, news outlets also came out with information that she said she did it out of a good heart, being a mother and things like that. And it even drives the conversation towards the fact that if you are an MP and you are going as far as breaking the rules and regulations to secure votes, then it means you know something is happening. And I mean, now we are seeing the result of that, because if you could go this way, you could see that maybe it could be stemming from some sort of desperation. What do you also think?
Well, so for now, let's say be careful. Congratulations to John Dumelo.
Yes, congratulations are in order.
In fact, he's really fought.
Yes, he has worked hard to get
hard for this very thing, and I mean it is not easy for John Dumelo to have gone through this. And Honorable Al Hassan, I mean, some years back he contested and he won the heart. I mean, there were a lot of few issues that actually happened in her constituency. But then, at the end of the day, currently, let me say, she has lost her seat. Okay. And has gotten the.
So we will come to the MPs that lost their seats. But for now, let's talk about let's watch some videos or visuals from the NDC MPs with one of our reporters. Yeah. Okay. So we have an interview with some of the NDC MPs. Yes, those are the visuals. So these are from NDC members and how they are feeling. Sorry, not the MPs. Yeah. So that's Zanetta Jiman Rawlings that we can see on our screens. So we also have a video. So this is her entering, and the people were very, very happy. Now we have a video of our reporter interviewing some people, how they were feeling.
Nanaya, how do you feel as a member of the NDC now?
Honestly, right now I feel so happy. I don't even know how to explain this, but I'm really happy. We needed change, and change is here. So I'm excited that we are here. Yeah.
So this victory means that for the first time in the history of Ghana, we are going to have a female the vice president of this country. How do you also feel about it?
I feel so excited because of her. Some women will have hope to further their education and then try and pursue and go higher. I feel so excited about this. Honestly, we needed victory, and victory is here. Yeah.
I can see you're very happy when you're at Papa.
Many and said that because John Dramani Mahama were really
Eti said said for the first time in history, Yebenya Oba vice president. Eti as Obano Osha Eden Pasopa na Obenya film.
The person you're vice president. When I have first you know about your vice president. Because then I bring him and my Kabia there's a say who said about me baby about me baby about Jane, what do you know? Yanin says I say ma ya problem. Ya the tuna nima about him because of your bad wɔdwene ne ma yɛso abaata na India no ma bedie enti.
So as we were even discussing here that having a female vice president is a win for all women, you can even see from the video that the lady was also saying this gives us, you know, the chance that every woman can go anywhere, and that is very true, and I'm very happy about that as a woman myself. So we have some MPs that were pretty popular and then they lost their seats, and some of the candidates also secure the seats they were contesting for. And yes, I have a short list for the Adenta constituency. I think for the very first time, Adenta constituency did not swing.
Yes.
Hey, that's surprising. Even Medina constituency did not swing either. Yes. From the looks of things, it seems that, you know, Francis Xavier Sosu also may be leading. Yeah. Now, Agosia Menu, you know, Sosu was maintained. Ramadan was also maintained. Now, Agosia Menu is pretty young, beautiful lady. So she's also quite active on social media. And I saw a lot of people also angry with her that at the time the e-levy was passed, she posted a tweet that was in so much favor of the e-levy, and it's caused, so a lot of people were actually insulting her about it, even now that, yes, that's, so some of the Adenta people said they are going to vote because of that, and now this is what's happened.
In politics, one thing that we all have to understand is you are whipped together to tool on the same lane.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not all the time your opinion will have to be more than will be heard more than you get it. Will have to be heard beyond the total in terms of the general party decision.
Yeah.
So sometimes no matter what it is, if you don't even agree with things, you still have to go with it.
Yeah.
But then one aspect that I believe affected the Adenta people or Akusia Menu, in fact, she was actually a lot went in against her. She has to fight internally for so many reasons.
Okay.
I mean, during the internal elections, I mean, there were a lot of sabotage against her. There were a lot of issues raised. I mean, which is purely born out of the internal elections.
Okay.
And in fact, internal elections of NPP affected the parliamentary aspirations.
Okay.
Because you can see from all the happenings that happened, some people in government, it is alleged that people in government sponsored some individuals over certain originally preferred candidates who could win the seats for them, and then things went through, and then now they were sorted, and then monies were exchanged to get the minds of the voters. That is the internal election, and then they were able to their delegates were able to give the people the chance. And now the party has gone to power, to election, and the preferred candidate who could have given them the seat and now
now we also have Hawa Kumsin for the Utu Senya West, and apparently anytime her name is mentioned when it comes to these constituency issues, there is something about violence. I think even in recent times she was, you know, heard being brandishing a gun and things like that, firing warning shots and things. And, you know, I think she's also in the limelight for all the wrong reasons, if we're being honest.
I think Hawa Kumsin issue, sometimes I disagree with people because sometimes the constituency in which you are determine your style of leadership.
Okay.
So, for instance, when you go to Kaswa, Kaswa is a whole area altogether that if you are a timid member of parliament, you can't succeed.
Survive there.
You can't survive because it's an area that, I mean, sometimes it comes with so much, I mean, a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That if you are a woman and you don't show up and you are not up to task, or, I mean, behave in a way that resonates with the people to give you that trust, I mean, you fall off. So but then, whoever comes, but then with hers, most of the times, you know, in politics and even the media, sometimes, I mean, bad press also comes in. and it has given her some kind of, but she's a very hardworking woman.
That is notwithstanding. Yes. But then you see what you're saying, that because maybe Kaswa is known for certain characteristics, you also have to, that then does not justify certain behaviors of the leader, because there are also younger ones looking up to you. So let me even give this example of our, Duncan Williams getting divorced. Now, we had at that time, a lot of silly comments that, if Archbishop can divorce, who am I? So that is just based on the fact that this is a leader or somebody, very with esteem, very, very revered. Yeah. So now being the MP and you are brandishing a gun, then what about the constituents?
You see, the whole thing is that it depends on the situation. I'm not sure that, those days or those periods were the only period she went out. She might have gone out freely and interacted with people all the time.
Yes, but of course, it's just the one thing that you do that will cause.
You go to a space where your security is.
Didn't she have bodyguards or security?
My dear.
Detail.
Sometimes. Sorry about that. Sometimes, if you go to a place where I'm not actually defending her, but sometimes you might get to a stage where you need to sometimes defend yourself. You don't need to say, oh, had I known before, you actually also show your capability. But there has been a lot of issues and instances that some people, like for instance, the issue of this security man who was, is it Etiwa or somewhere? He had at the point where his security was at stake. He left the gun without doing anything. At the end of the day, he died.
Yeah.
But then when if you have a registered gun and you are at where your security is, giving you challenge. Yeah. You have the right also to manage and secure yourself. Okay. So I'm not defending her. But I
think I understand you.
Yes, so sometimes, and those places sometimes they are very radical people who can attack you anytime. So if they had come in a very peaceful manner, I'm not sure she would have taken up a gun. Yeah. But it's because probably the way they also approach the situation. Of course, if she has any other thing to defend herself, I'll give it up.
Yeah. So Katie Hammond also lost his seat, and but we also have information from the EC. Yes, the EC came out to the press briefing telling us that it's been only about 23 hours since the polls were closed. So Ghanaians, let us exercise with regards to the announcement of the final results. We already know, based on the polling stations and the coalitions there, what's going to happen. We have a fair idea, but let us remain patient. The EC will come out with final results and share with us. So, as we wait for the EC to share the final information, and also as well as their briefings every 3 hours, yes, that's what they came out with. So as we wait for them, Poll Watch will also be going off. We are also waiting to hear more. When we hear more, we will definitely come back. So we will see you again tomorrow to discuss more post-elections issues. Please do stay safe out there. Take care of yourself. Jubilate wisely as you voted wisely, like they like to. So please exercise some safety and safety measures. Keep yourself safe. Do your soloku, with some. Don't lose your life just because one party has been voted out, another has been brought in. Your life also matters. Do have an amazing week. We will see you again tomorrow.